When it comes to my videos, two things should be abundantly clear to anybody that watches them. One, they're terrible. And two, I think Mario is pretty cool. But despite how much attention I've given the franchise on this channel, throughout my personal life, there have been tons of Mario games that, for one reason or another, completely went under my radar. What's great about making these videos, however, is that they give me an excuse to finally get around to playing those games and see what I've been missing out on. My videos still suck, but hey, I have the entire Mario and Luigi series under my belt now, so
I see this as an absolute win.
And as a certain squeaky gender bend of mine not so subtly hinted at in the last review, today we're giving the Mario Strikers series the same treatment.
But if we're gonna do that, first we need to talk about the folks that gave us the series in the first place.
NintendoGames!
This company was founded in 2002, and throughout their history, they've gotten their hands on a bunch of famous characters and IPs. They made Transformers, Cybertron Adventures, Spider-Man, Friend or Foe, Captain America, Super Soldier, Microsoft Solitaire Collection? But Strikers marked the beginning of a beautiful relationship between them and Nintendo. So, when you think about it, this series is what pretty much kept the studio afloat for the past 2 decades.
Since the first game, Next Level gave us the Punch-Out reboot for the Wii, as well as its Club Nintendo exclusive spin-off game, which you can't play anymore without a bit of yo-ho, a pirate's life for me. They were given the deed to Luigi's Mansion and produced 2 sequels for the 3DS and the Switch. Oh, yeah, they also made Metroid Prime Federation Force. I can just hear the Metroid fans' sphincters tighten at the mere mention of that game's name. But Next Level's worked so closely with Nintendo over the years that in 2021, Nintendo just bought them outright. Yep, Nintendo is now officially their business daddy. Let's just hope this doesn't lead to any Warner Brothers Discovery-type drama between them anytime soon.
Give us Batgirl already, you cowards!
Next Level Games saw most of their biggest successes through their Nintendo partnership, and for the most part, we got some pretty great games out of it. But, like we said, Super Mario Strikers was where it all started, back in late 2005. And it wasn't just Next Level's first Mario game, or their first Nintendo game in general. But in Japan and North America, it was also the last Mario game to be released for the GameCube, while Mario Party 7 holds that distinction in Europe and Australia.
I might not have played a lot of Strikers in my youth, but I've had the first 2 games sitting on my shelves for a long time, mostly just to have them in my collection. When I got the first Mario Strikers as a Christmas present over 10 years ago, my parents, or whoever bought it for me, got it off of Amazon or something, and I'm still shocked they were able to find a complete copy on the secondhand market. Look, it's got the manual, the health and safety precautions booklet nobody read, and a Nintendo Power subscription pamphlet. Oh, I'm sad now. You gotta take a look at this. Oh, there's some covers on the bottom here. We preview, you salivate. Oh, yeah, nothing gets my mouth watering like Metroid Pinball. Whoa, careful not to crash that motorcycle there, Shadow. Otherwise, you might die and go to hog heaven. Man, this thing. Whoa, wait a minute. What's this on the back?
Sign up for My Nintendo? There was another My Nintendo?
Apparently. There's a website listed here, so let's drop this into the Wayback Machine and see what this is all about. Oh. Guess we can't, because it's Flash-based. Ugh, I hate the internet sometimes.
Oh, I didn't know that sign up today in French is Inscrivis vous aujord hui meme.
Alright, back to the game. Now, if there's anything Nintendo really wanted you to know about Super Mario Strikers, it's that it was edgy. You look at this box art and you can tell right away that this isn't gonna be your typical Mario sports game. Mario's pissed off by a glowing soccer ball, Donkey Kong's molars melting, and all the characters are drawn with these sharp, sketchy lines. The edge factor is present in the game's concept art as well. This one gives Mario a nice fire motif with the emblem on his hat being inside a fireball. Here's a sketch of him wearing a GameCube controller as a belt buckle.
Dork.
And here's one of him dressed like a rapper, I guess, which surprisingly is not that unusual for him.
But just in case you thought they didn't go far enough, look at this scrap promotional poster they came up with. You got these 2 soccer balls in a net bag curiously shaped like a particular part of the male anatomy, and a caption that reads, "You're gonna need a pair."
I can't imagine why they didn't use this.
Okay, let's talk about the game for real this time. So, obviously, Super Mario Strikers is a soccer game, but you don't just run up and down a big rectangle and kick a ball around. Since it's also a Mario game, you got power-ups like banana peels and Koopa shells to either bring some more excitement to the match, or make things harder for you and your team. Speaking of teams, before you start the game, you pick your captain, and then for teammates, you've got Toads, Koopa Troopas, Hammer Brothers, or Birdos to pick from. On the field, you pass the ball around with the A button and shoot with the B button, but as the captain, if you're close enough to the goal, you can perform a Super Strike, which will give you 2 points if you're able to perform them successfully.
Apparently, teammates were originally going to be able to perform super strikes as well, while the captains were given different variations. This idea was seemingly retold into the skill shots and mega strikes in the next game.
But that's not till later.
Super Mario Strikers also has something else that makes it better than real soccer. Violence! It's no Mortal Kombat, but by Mario standards, it's still pretty intense. If another player has the ball, you can tackle them by pressing the Y button. And I don't know anything about soccer, and clearly don't really care that much about it. Do I look like I live in Bracel? But I'm pretty sure tackling in an actual soccer game would get you disqualified. So that's why Strikers is better. Bowser also randomly drops down onto the field every now and then to do his Bowser thing, and you do not want to be in the landing zone when he shows up, because he's dummy thick and his cheeks can kill. The critters from Donkey Kong Country act as the goalies for both teams, for some reason, and they are some mean, green, ball-blocking machines. You can try to score a goal with a Super Strike, but sometimes they'll just throw it right back at you. They're also unaffected by items, so Koopa shells won't hurt them at all. Though they can still hurt your teammates even if you threw them. Sorry, Waluigi. Well, that'll teach me to underestimate a critter. These guys will kick you to the curb. Literally! Doesn't matter if you're a portly Italian plumber, a robot, or a 500-pound gorilla. And poor Waluigi here just got annihilated. I just can't catch a break, can he?
Excuse me, can we just rewind back to the robot? What kind of Terminator creepazoid am I looking at?
Oh, that's a super. He's part of the Super Team, and you unlock them after beating them in the Bowser Cup. You don't get normal sidekicks if you pick him as your captain, you just get more supers, meaning each of them can perform super strikes, unlike every other team. Their inventor must have been really bored to think of building soccer-playing robots, but at least seeing them getting chased around by a bunch of birdos finally gave me a dinosaur-related experience in 2022 that I could actually enjoy. You need to stop. By the way, that's Kenny James voicing the supers, and he also made his debut as the voice of Bowser in this game. I met him at a convention one time. He's a really cool guy.
Hey, I thought I was supposed to be the queen of random trivia.
Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to steal your thunder there for a second. On that note, do you have anything to add, your squeakiness?
Well, since we're on the topic of voice acting, Super Mario Strikers also marked the debut of Nicole Mills as the voice of Peach, and featured Kelsey Hutchinson as the voice of Toad, both of them temporarily filling in for their previous voice actress, Jen Taylor. Nicole provided Peach's voice for a small number of Mario games, while Kelsey only voiced Toad for this game, and its sequel, until they were replaced by Samantha Kelly, who continues to voice the two characters to this day. I gotta say, judging from this game, Nicole does a pretty good job as Princess Peach. Though it's kinda hard to understand what she's saying sometimes.
Well, you know what? I'm genuinely surprised at how much this game holds up. Mechanically, it reminds me a lot of Smash Brothers. Easy to play, but difficult to master. It's the risk and reward kind of thing. Like, you can run while holding the R button, but it makes you more susceptible to tackling. So depending on how you approach it, this game can be the most visceral and complex soccer game you'll ever play, or it can be just a bunch of colorful characters running around fighting over a big sphere decorated with black and white pentagons. Either way, it's a good time. But you can keep your technicals and mild cartoon violence. What really makes Super Mario Strikers so unique is its presentation. Obviously, it's harsher and grittier than most Mario games, but the characters are also really expressive and showcase much more personality than just being happy about something.
You are a superstar.
Ah, yes, I am most pleased with these results.
I love these cutscenes that play just before a match starts, where the captains try to intimidate each other. Mario flaunts his soccer skills, Peach brushes it off and even does a little talk to the hand kind of thing, and Daisy's like, yeah, what's up? Come at me, bro! I also like to imagine Wario and Waluigi comparing the number of zeros on the backs of their jerseys here.
Hey, look at me. I've got 2 zeros. That's 2 digits. Oh, yeah? Well, I've only got 1 zero. That means I don't suck as much.
Even their victory animations are great. Donkey Kong punches the camera, Luigi runs around pretending to be an airplane. The Supers combine Marvel references by doing a Wakanda salute and taking to the skies like Iron Man, while Luigi makes you question the game's E rating. But overall, Super Mario Strikers successfully stands on its own as a solid sports title, while humbly laying the groundwork for future games to build upon. And one of those future games happened to come out just under 2 years later in the form of Mario Strikers Charged on the Wii, which was also the first Mario game to be rated E10+ by the ESRB. And they exploit the hell out of that plus. This game is filled with a surprising amount of sexual implications. Local matches are played in domination mode, while Luigi's special move shows him using a whip?
Whoa, I'm sure none of that was intentional. You might just need to get your mind out of the gutter.
Well, look at how some of these victory write-ups are worded. Daisy destroys Peach, Waluigi dominates Wario. What else would Waluigi need a whip for? They totally knew what they were doing.
Well, I can definitely say this game is much crazier than its predecessor. The concept art certainly reflects that, though I don't know why there are so many drawings of toads piloting mechs. Doesn't really have much to do with soccer. Sir? This is a Wendy's?
Oh yeah, look at these mood boards. Waluigi's got this DreamWorks face going on. Diddy Kong looks like he just got some major dental surgery, and it didn't turn out well, apparently. Daisy's pulling an AVGN face, and is she turning into a frog? And why is it that when they all try to be intimidating, they look like they're pushing out a galaxy-sized turd?
I didn't think we'd be going off topic this much.
That's ADHD for you. Oh, look a bug! But yeah, Mario Strikers Charge certainly ups the insanity this time around. Every stadium from the first game is back, but the new stadiums throw a bunch of crazy shit at you. In the Sand Tomb, you get crushed by thwomps. In the Wastelands, you get struck by lightning. And Thunder Island, the stadium that should have had the lightning, is instead surrounded by tornadoes, carrying cows, cheeps, and a friggin' tractor that knock you off the field if they hit you. All that's missing is the kitchen sink, Dorothy's house, and Kevin Costner from Man of Steel, because why not? And teams don't just march into the stadium before starting the game this time. Players watch as their team captains fall from the sky and superhero land directly opposite each other.
Such a poser.
I just wish some of them got better portraits in the Striker Times. Wario looks like he got stuck trying to do a split and broke something, and... Ah!
Can we push the camera back a little further, please? That's better.
Yay! Super Mario Strikers had a mode where you could compete in cup battles, but I recorded the game through Dolphin with a completed save file loaded on my virtual memory card, so I didn't really bother with cup battles, even if you could get a trophy shaped like an NES controller. Since I'm playing this game on my Wii U, and actually have to go for 100% on my own, I decided to take a crack at Road to the Striker Cup. It's pretty much what I imagined it would be, a series of matches that got gradually harder until the final match, where I presume Waluigi's team must have had monster energy injected into their veins, because this game just devolved into complete chaos. Constant tackling, players slipping on banana peels, shells flying everywhere. How do we keep circling back to Waluigi? And as Marcy brought up before, Mario Strikers Charge took the concept of teammates having super strikes that was cut from the first game and reworks it into something called skill shots. I didn't really use them that much because in Boo's case it wasn't remotely useful, and I found their decks much more reliable on the field, especially the Hammer Brother, where he just crushes everybody with a giant hammer, like he's going around wearing Ralph's hat of discipline from Ed, Edd, and Eddy.
All is forgiven.
So what I do is have my teammates use their decks to knock back any opposing players, or each other, and leave it to my captain to clear some space with their new super abilities, and use Mega Strikes to rack up multiple goals in one, if they don't get blocked. But if the other captain takes a shot, you can block the balls by hovering your cursor over them and pressing the A button on the remote. This is a really cool concept. It's a natural evolution to the super strikes in the first game, and the animations are a sight to behold. What with Peach becoming a deity, Bowser going full-on Godslayer, and Wario inflating himself.
Don't kink shame me!
Honestly though, after a while the novelty started wearing a bit thin for me. And you wanna know why? No? Well, I'm gonna tell you anyway. You can't skip the cutscenes. Yes, they're awesome, they're only 15 seconds long, and watching them is like what would happen if your eyes could lose their virginity. But they just make the game feel slower, and I got a little sick of them, I'm sorry. So what I ended up doing, especially during the Fire Cup, was use Mega Strikes to rack up goals, and then once I felt I had enough, I'd run around hogging the ball before the timer ran out, just to make the games go by quicker. I could've just stopped doing Mega Strikes altogether, and yeah, I only have myself to blame here, but even getting as little as one ball in the goal this way, I still found it easier than trying to score goals normally.
Well, if you can believe it, the Mega Strike animation was actually going to be even longer.
Say what?
A ball launcher would have explained why the captain launches more than one soccer ball at the goalie, but this was dropped due to the added length and, frankly, just being unnecessary.
They were gonna explain where the balls came from? Damn, they almost pulled a Solo before Solo was Solo.
We didn't need to see how he got his blaster! And Solo isn't even his real last name? Are you kidding me?
You know, after playing Mario Strikers Charged, I wasn't sure if I liked it more than, less than, or about the same as the first game, mostly because, at their core, they both play very similarly, despite the obvious differences between them. You could argue maybe Charged gets a little too crazy at times, and the frame rate doesn't appear to be as consistent. Like, does it want to run at 60 frames per second? Or does it want to play it safe and lock off at 30? I don't know. Third base. But I think I'm leaning more towards this game because, in my opinion, it lets everything that worked in Super Mario Strikers evolve and doesn't fall flat on its face from trying too hard to reinvent the wheel. And I like that it's a bit more unhinged. The first game was already pretty wild, so why shouldn't they go bigger?
If you want to talk big and crazy...
What, like this?
Not quite. But while Mario Strikers Charged was in development, Next Level Games also started working on a volleyball game called Super Mario Spikers. It would have stayed in line with the first two Strikers games, but seemingly with more of a game show aesthetic. It also had wrestling mechanics carried over from a cancelled WWE project the studio tried making with THQ just a few years earlier. When Nintendo was presented with the concept, they felt the wrestling components made it too violent when compared to the more cartoony nature of Super Smash Bros. Or even the Strikers games.
Really? This was too violent for them. Come on, it's a volleyball game. It can't be that bad. Oh, ooh. Yeah, that's pretty brutal. And then, nothing. After Mario Strikers Charged came out, the series fled into the mountains, never to be seen again. But here we are, 15 years later. God, that is way more than one. And we finally got a new Mario Strikers game just a few months ago, in the form of Mario Strikers Battle League for the Nintendo Switch. As exciting as that sounds, however, this game seems to have garnered some polarizing reactions. From what I gather, casual players enjoy it fine enough, while fans of the first two games found it extremely underwhelming. And I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a mixed bag for me either, but let's talk about its biggest selling point first. Mario Strikers Charged was the first game in the series to have online play, which is, kind of dead. But the online gaming landscape has changed so much since then, especially with the rise of esports. Battle League was specifically designed with this market in mind, so the online play has much greater focus. I'm not really into these kind of games, but I know for a fact that there are people out there who are going to be participating in every seasonal event and every online tournament, forming clubs like Darth Nation, Pagoda Pounders, and Tiny Giants! Again, that's not really my scene, so I just played a couple matches with my friend Jake. And I got my ass kicked. But then we teamed up and went against some other randos where we managed to beat them 3-2. It was a pretty good time. Thanks for helping me get footage, Jake. Now, if only I could figure out how to add you to my in-joke club. Is Anyone else find this menu system really confusing?
Well, just looking at the gameplay, Mario Strikers Battle League stays true to the formula while making some slight adjustments. They swapped the pass and shoot buttons, which is questionable, but you can charge up your tackles now to hit opponents harder and keep them down much longer. And while the first two games would just give you power-ups pretty much whenever they felt like it, you get them from item blocks this time. You can also use coins to purchase gear for each character and give them added enhancements, like better passes or faster speeds.
Not gonna lie though, some of this gear looks low-key kinda silly. Check out this turbo helmet. It makes you look like RoboCop from the remake everyone forgot about.
There was a RoboCop remake?
You see? Well, at least it helps cover up those boring, plain-looking soccer uniforms. But actually, speaking of odd fashion choices, why is Rosalina wearing socks over her leggings? Is that something women normally do, Marcy?
I don't know. I hate wearing socks. And leggings. In fact, in this form, I don't think I even have legs.
Welcome to the club. I first played Mario Strikers Battle League around the time it came out, and I thought it was pretty good. But after replaying the first two games and then going back to this one, I wasn't having that much fun with it anymore. Not to diminish the work that went into this game, because there was clearly a lot of passion involved and fun to be had, especially with the animations. I love Peach's cartwheels, I love Luigi's cute little dance, I love Yoshi's Three Stooges impression. Next Level Games have produced some of the highest quality animation the franchise has ever seen, and while this game is no exception, I feel like the use of squash and stretch isn't as well implemented as it is in some of Next Level's other outings. And like Mario Strikers Charged, the frame rate is pretty inconsistent, but for a completely different reason. It's technically stable, but the cutscenes and the menus are locked at 30 FPS, while the actual game, where you're playing soccer and whatnot, runs at 60 FPS, which puzzles me and puzzles me till my puzzler saw.
This is also the first Mario Strikers game where most of the characters' voices are recycled clips from other games. And oddly enough, it doesn't even recycle clips from the other Strikers games, except when Mario yells for someone to pass the ball to him.
Wow. That's an incredibly specific detail that only I would actually care about. You really are a female version of me. Aesthetically, the game is softer and less harsh and gritty than the first two games, so it just looks like any other Mario game nowadays. I like that both sides of the field are themed to different stadiums, making it easier to spot whose goals where, but the stadiums themselves have much more generic Mario theming, so instead of a wasteland or a crater field, we get a castle, a jungle, and two grassy areas that I'm pretty sure are exactly the same, just with different names, judging from these pictures. Any attempts at capturing the look and feel of the other games are only present with the Hyper Strikes. Performing them makes these cutscenes play with a cel-shaded filter that's supposed to replicate the Strikers style, but seems kinda tacked on, doesn't it? I'm also not very big on the Hyper Strikes in general. Every character gets one, whether they're a captain or not, but you need hyper orbs in order to pull them off, and you only got 20 seconds to do it before the effect wears off. This doesn't really have the same risk and reward kind of feel as the original Strikers, it just feels like a crutch. Blocking them's a bit simpler though, just mash a button and you're all good. Wow.
What a dick!
Mario Strikers Battle League is still a pretty decent game on its own, but compared to the first two games, it feels a bit lesser to some degree, tonally and stylistically. And aside from everything I just talked about, I think I figured out how exactly this could be. The first two games were directed by Mike Englehart, but since he left Next Level Games in 2010, Battle League was directed by Devin Blanchett. Really hope I'm pronouncing that right. And he was also a design director on Luigi's Mansion 3. Then after doing some complicated math, I found that only about 21% of Next Level's in-house Battle League staff, just over a fifth of them, also worked on the first two Strikers games. 11% worked on both games, 4% only worked on the first game, and 6% only worked on Charged.
So, you think it's a step down because most of the developers were completely new to the series?
Either that or their business daddy made them tone it down a bit. Because they don't want us having too much fun these days.
Well, here's my theory. In recent years, Mario sports games have fallen into a pattern of being released with essentially bare minimum content, and then much more stuff would be added in after the fact, often not too long after the base game launches. This even extended to Nintendo Switch Sports, which is only now getting golf as an additional mode.
Wait, golf wasn't already part of the game to begin with? That's kind of insane to think about. I don't even like golf.
Well, they're applying the same strategy to Mario Strikers Battle League. As time goes on, the game will be receiving additional content such as new stadiums, new gear, and new characters. The first update includes Daisy, finally, and you can now play as Shy Guy too, though I think the game is less excited about him. Then during Nintendo's recent Farming Sim presentation, Direct, Pauline and Diddy Kong were confirmed to be coming in the next update.
And I'm pretty sure they actually just came out while we're recording this.
Okay. This plan has been heavily criticized by fans in the past, with many alleging that Nintendo's more concerned about meeting deadlines than releasing finished products.
I'm kinda split about this issue because, on one hand, it is free. I mean, if they were charging people for all this stuff that should have been part of the game from the get-go, that would be a bit scummier. But on the other hand, this stuff should have been part of the game from the get-go. Release a finished product and then flesh it out with DLC. Don't rush a game out the door and patch in the rest of it later.
Exactly! Like, Daisy's been a Strikers mainstay since the first game, and people were furious when she didn't show up for Battle League at the start. Can you imagine if Sega made a Sonic game where Super Sonic was DLC? Or if they tried charging real money for it, but then had to backpedal and make it a free download because of fan outcry?
Nah, we probably shouldn't tell her. So, with that, another summer of Mario has come to a close. And, yeah, it's not summer anymore, I realize that.
Nope.
So, once again, the name is irrelevant. You know, as much as I really love doing these videos, and I really do, trying to stick with the summer schedule does make them a little more stressful.
This is only my second video, but yeah, I can imagine. So, what are you gonna do?
Well, I don't want to stop it altogether, but if it's going to keep bleeding into the fall, I might as well give it a less seasonally specific name, like Mario Mania or something. I'll figure it out later. What you doing there?
Isn't this usually the part where you foreshadow the next game we'll be reviewing?
Oh yeah. Well, for once in a while, I actually don't know what we're going to do next. And not gonna lie, this year has kind of been a bit meh with Mario stuff. Let's go! Hi, thanks for watching. And before we go, I want to give a special thanks once again to my superstar supporters for this month. Red Rack, Henry Newman, Rachel Rodriguez, and Jake Winans. I probably included like a little card somewhere on the screen so I don't have to read all these details anymore because honestly, I sound like a robot every time I do it. So if you want to see all the benefits, look on the damn screen, read them for yourself, because I ain't doing it no more. I mean, I'm still offering the benefits, but I'm just not going to describe them in detail, so you have to look at the screen and read about them yourself. So, yeah, that's another summer of Mario, quote-unquote summer, and I guess this really will be the last time I use that name. But this won't be the last one definitively. We're still going to keep doing these videos, so there will be another Summer of Mario next year, but it's just not going to be called Summer of Mario anymore. I don't know exactly what I'm going to call it, but if you have any suggestions for names we can go with, put them in the comments or post them in my Discord server or whatever. So what do you want to add?
Well, again, it's only my second video, but I'm still super happy to be here and I enjoy making these. Well, I don't make them, but I enjoy being a part of these videos. Shh, no, don't talk about that.
I'm also really glad that a lot of you really seem to like Marcy, because I really, really enjoy what Sky brings to the character. And honestly, so much of who Marcy is now would not really be what it is without her.
Yeah, I certainly feel like we're partners, you know? This isn't just, me listening to the boss and reading lines,
Yeah, we're a dynamic duo.
Exactly. We're a partnership here. So it really feels like I'm truly a part of this, that I have a say in it, and that this video is, yeah, I'll say it's just as much of mine as it is his, even if he does 90% of the work.
I honestly really don't know what my next game review is going to be, or my next video in general, so hopefully, whatever I decide to do will be decent, but now we're just going on too long. But thanks everybody for listening. I would tell you to do other things, but they're probably on screen already as well. So, until next time, this is Marc,
And Marcy.
bidding you all a smashing farewell. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.
Bye-bye.